This is episode 28 of the Out of the Minds podcast. I'm Sean Oakley.
And I'm Sam Cooper, and we're here on New Year's Day to bring you some X-Wing content.
Yeah.
Well, recording on New Year's Day.
Yeah, this will probably get chucked out, I think, on probably the 3rd, but everyone at Tin Squadron would like to wish you all a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Yay! Clap, 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 clap.
May 2022 bring you many crits and your opponents many blanks.
Yeah, well, we're about to see that, aren't we?
Yeah. We're back to reviewing a game. It's a Me v Sam game. So
yeah. So you've brought something we've all seen before, but I decided to bring something a little bit different because I figured
this one on the podcast before.
I think similar. Like you're
playing a bit similar.
But I figured quad ships versus Resistance X-Wings plus flavor is only interesting so many times.
Well, okay, that's fair. We'll do a quick rundown of the lists. So mine is similar to the 3 X's and Kaz that I've been flying, but a slight change of pilots. Still bringing Commander Poe with Jamming Beam, bringing Jessica Parva with Jamming Beam, and then the Red Squadron Expert, that's the I3 generic, with R68 and Jamming Beam. So dropping them down from the named I4s to the I3s, but that allows you to get Jessica Parva in. For people who don't know her ability, she has a single recurring charge, and her ability reads, not word for word because I don't have it in front of me, but basically once per round, she may spend her charge to re-roll attack or defense dice, and she can re-roll as many dice as many friendly ships that she has at range 0 to 1. So if you're flying in a block, which this list kind of does, you normally have 3 other ships at range 0 to 1, and the likelihood is you probably don't need to re-roll more than 3. You'd be a bit sad if you did.
I think that's pretty good.
And then obviously R68 allowing the Red Squadron to get rerolls, basically Super Predator for as many bullseyes. Poe can use his ability on himself to lock focus. So again, 3 double modded T70s for an initial engagement, hopefully. And then I've dropped Kaz for this moment to try one that has been doing the rounds. And it's the New Republic Patrol, which is the I3 generic Resistance Y-Wing. And it's got the wartime loadout, which nabs at a couple of extra shields. So it's 4 hull, 5 shields. A dorsal turret, an advanced proton torpedo, and the electro chaff missiles. And the electro chaff missiles, you drop it, so you launch it during the system phase with either the 3 banks or the 4 straight. And then it does a load of random stuff. If you overlap it, you break all your locks, you get a jam, you miss your perform action step. So it's great for denying mods. And it's like 4 points. It's also an obstacle. It's an obstacle and a device, so...
Which comes in important later, because it means, at least for me, you cannot barrel roll onto it outside of tractoring yourself.
Yes. But on that note, Sam, what have you brought?
So I've brought Sunfac and Friends. So I've got Sunfac with Ensnare, Chertek with Ensnare, General Grievous with Impervium Plating and Solar Swan, and DFS 311 with Grappling Struts and Independent Calculations. And my game plan is simple. It's be AC, be annoying, be Nantex, and DFS is there to lob calculates to whoever needs it. I've got three pretty good, two good pocket aces, 1 good ace, and a support ship. Very simple.
I'd argue, despite being I4, General Grievous is one of the best pocket aces out there.
Yeah, definitely.
Especially when he's Impervium and Soulless.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the standard loadout you see, but you also try and find points to put outmaneuver on because it just feels really nice when you get it. But he really doesn't need it. 54-point General Grievous is a happy General. I mean, even 50-point General Grievous is a happy General Grievous. But Impervium Plating sometimes is just too good to pass up.
Okay, so let's talk a bit about turn 0. Because I flying in a block of 4 ships, I basically want the obstacles tightly packed into a corner as much as possible, so that I've got open space to play with. And then, for me, target priority. I mean, ideally, I want to kill Sunfac because he's the I6 ace, which really does counteract Poe. I'm lucky that I won the roll off, so I'm second player, so at least I know where he is before Poe moves. But to the same extent, both the Nantex are my main priorities. You know, if Chertek comes for me, I will go for him over Sunfac if I can get better shots, because Ensnare is irritating.
Yeah, I can understand that.
So incredibly irritating. And it adds a lot of extra thinking when you're playing against it, because you've got to be, if I go here and he ends up range 1, can he barrel roll me here? Can he put me on a rock? Can you do this? Can you do that? And it just
soon not to be.
Taxes my brains. Is it not?
Yeah, Tractor is soon going to be unable to put you onto obstacles.
Yeah, cool. That's true. Well, they've said that. Whether we'll wait and see, but when they officially announce...
I think it makes sense because they've made obstacles a lot more ruining.
Dangerous.
They don't want you to have easy access to be like and get ruined.
Yeah. Okay, so what about you, Sam? Your turn zero. What do you want from obstacles?
So for me, I want, most importantly, the rocks to be in a cluster, and I want the gas clouds to be generally scattered. So I placed 2 of the gas clouds and 1 of the rocks here. So I placed one in a corner, and one in then an opposite corner, and I placed a rock in the dead center because you'd already placed a rock near me. So I wanted to make sure there was at least a couple of obstacles that you really didn't want to be near each other, and that meant I can basically nest DFS safely. And if you want to come at DFS, fine, you have to come to the rocks to get him.
Yeah, see, it's
because he is the support ship, and he's easy to knock out, but I want you to have to commit something to knock him out.
Yeah, see, it's interesting you say that, because you want them in a cluster, I want them in a cluster. So we both kind of want the same setup, which probably means one of us is wrong.
Yeah, I guess maybe I want them in a cluster because my game plan, if I didn't have DFS, I probably would just want, like, I would probably try to put all of the rocks and spread them out a little bit, trying to be so you have to come through the rocks at some point no matter where you go. But because I got DFS, I want to be able to park him on a rock and leave him for the most part.
Yeah.
And I know you'll want to just try and knock him out, out of hand mostly because he is a vulture droid. But I wanted to try and make it so you had to like actually commit something and get close to something that's dangerous for you because of the Nantex.
Yeah. What about target priority?
It's really weird. Like, for me, target priority is whichever of your ships I can get ensnared.
Fair enough.
Because they're all dangerous. I mean, I don't know so much of it. Like, the New Republic Patrol, I guess, is the least prior to me. But like Jessica, Red Squadron, and Poe, they're all X-wings. They all have the same amount of health. So whichever one I happen to get ensnared and have the best shots on is my target.
Yeah. See, the funny thing is, Jess is great early game, but the longer the game goes on, the worse she gets. Because if you start killing other ships, she loses her power basically because she doesn't have the friendly ships there. If I was flying against this, obviously dependent on what goes on, my target priority would probably be the Y-wing first. Because especially if you ensnare it, it's suddenly no defense dice.
Yeah,
you can burn through that pretty quick, and then probably if you can get it, Poe.
Yeah, like my priority probably should be Poe, just because he's the one that is going to threaten Sunfac. And if like Sunfac against 2 of your ships, I feel good odds.
Yeah. Also,
so if I get down to that, that's like my end game. Sunfac and either Sunfac versus any 2 of your ships other than Poe, or Grievous or Chertek against any 2 of the I3s.
Yeah. And obviously, being Commander Poe, he's buffing the entire team, not just himself.
Yeah, but my thought process on this one was like, in this matchup, I need to try and if I can just remove one of your ships with focus fire, that's fine because I have a lot of firepower, and if I can ensnare someone, then all of a sudden that firepower is amplified a lot. So I wasn't really thinking of, oh, I need to get this specific person because I knew you'd
Yeah.
fly around in a block. So I was like, I'll just whichever one I can get safely with the most guns because I have a lot of fragile ships. Grievous exception is the exception, but my ships are very fragile. So if I need to get safe shots and I need to focus fire,
Yeah.
so it just had to be whichever one I could get the shots on.
So I've set up in the bottom left corner as I'm looking at it. It's the side that you've placed a gas cloud, basically almost 2 and 2 down in my corner. My thinking there is I can just zoom past that, and then I've got a lot of empty space above it to play around in.
And I've basically strung myself across my edge of the board. I've got DFS in my top right, in my bottom left corner, so the top right. If you're looking at the screen from the top down view from Sean's perspective, to the top right. And then I've stationed Chertek right next to him, Grievous in the exact opposite corner, and Sunfac in the middle. And my plan is basically, I want to try and essentially lead you into coming to, so when you turn in, you're turning in towards the rocks. So everyone's basically planning on stalling and moving towards my corner.
And yeah, and I was.
It's not a subtle plan.
I was expecting that, and to be fair, it worked to a certain extent.
Yeah.
I did consider just sort of running around the board edge basically, and we could all go in a nice little merry circle. But the issue with that is your ships are, especially with having access to the tractor for an extra boost or rotor or barrel roll and then passing it off, your ships can go places that I can't and would be able to cut through the obstacles better than I can.
Yeah.
Right. But let's crack on and see where this one goes.
Essentially, not much interesting happens for the first bunch of turns.
No.
I am snaking my way down the edge of the board. I speed Chertek off very quickly because I want to try and basically get him around as a potential flanker. But Sunfac too hard towards my corner and barrel rolls back. I'm planning on sort of stalling with Sunfac as Grievous runs away.
Yeah, and I just sort of I 3 straight the first round because it's the fastest non-red the Y-wing can do, and then 2 straight the second turn. That basically just gets them past that initial obstacle, and then allows me to start doing a bank and then a barrel roll, and then just crab walking up that side of the board.
Yeah.
And there I go.
There we go. Yeah, so you're crab walking. I'm just basically stringing out and just delaying. I'm trying not to commit super hard.
This is it, isn't it? This is a case of who's going to engage first. And I'm like, because I've got that chaff missile, which goes in the system phase, I'm very aware that I've got to set it up the turn before.
Yeah.
As opposed to that turn. So I can't sort of wait and see where you're going.
So here's probably my first mistake.
Okay.
Is Chertek is too committed and everyone else is still discombobulating themselves in the corner.
Yeah, I mean,
I personally think Chertek is too committed. He's now at the point where if you turn in, there's only so many places Chertek can go, and the other 3 ships of mine, the rock placement is to my disadvantage.
Yeah, I did consider a turn in here, but I thought Chertek just goes slow and straight down the bottom edge. If needs be, he can delay by going round that bottom obstacle, which would give you time to bring the other ships in.
Yeah, maybe, but I still think that at this point I've gone too far. If I'd just done something a little slower, Chertek is much safer, and I don't have to, spoiler alert, do risky, crazy maneuvers like I tried in a bit.
Okay, let's carry on, because I'm pretty sure I do one more crab walk up the board. Now, I have to admit, what did surprise me was what you did with DFS. Because I never expected him to come down this bottom edge around the gas cloud. I expected him to cut in, plonk himself on a rock. And then
the reason he's not sitting on a rock right now is that my entire list kind of needs to be a bit more fluid. I want to sit him on a rock, and I will sit him on a rock when the engagement starts, and you don't have time to worry about randomly killing DFS. Because if I put him on a rock, he's a very easy target, and as long as he's not on a rock, and he's still being, ha ha ha, I calculate.
Yeah.
Then you can't just be like, cool, he's on a rock. We know exactly where DFS is going to be. Now it's like, well, actually, DFS could be many places. Is he going to go and support Chertek? Is he going to turn around and help the others? So also, Grievous is 3 sleep because I want him to start turning back around.
Yeah, no, it's funny because I've turned in now because you
Yeah.
went down with DFS, and Chertek is in that corner, so I can turn in towards them. I know I can, based on where you go this turn, I can see what's happening. I still got options. I didn't see the sloop from Grievous, and that threw me for a second because hang on, now he can just shoot back up the other side and go for a flank. I was expecting a bit more of a cut in from him.
Yeah, no. In this, I think my problem here is in this one, I'm still thinking I've got an. I wasn't expecting. I sort of wasn't expecting the turn in. I was expecting a bank, and you just keep going around the side. So I basically just let up so Grievous can go the other way. Be like, okay, cool. Now you've got Sunfac in the middle, Chertek on one side, and Grievous on the other. You don't really want to let Grievous get your flank, but you can't ignore Sunfac and Chertek. But
Yeah.
because you've turned in, Grievous looks a little awkward, especially because his blues are so bad.
Yeah, see, my thinking here was that not this turn, obviously, but the next turn, depending on what you've done, because obviously a majority of your ships move after my block, it opens up options for sticking that chaff cloud in between other
rocks.
obstacles,
Yeah.
which will either force you to avoid them, or you're going through, you're taking... Yeah, you'll still get your tractor stuff on the Nantex, but you're losing the focus, and we all know what Nantex are like without mods.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and then because I could see where Chertek was going if he turned in, if he goes behind the gas cloud, I could just carry on backing up and heading down towards my corner again.
Yeah. So I almost did a 5 straight with Chertek here.
So, and if you'd done a 5 straight with Chertek here, the next turn, I think I probably would have done a fast bank down to try and catch him. A 3 bank and a boost, because you'd have to go around the back of the...
Yeah. No, as in the next turn.
Oh, right.
I died in a 3 sleep because
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't played in TTS in a while. I guess my eye was up. I legitimately thought I would go further and more back.
Fair
As
enough.
you'll find out, I don't. Well, I did almost dial in a 5 straight because I was like, okay, if they bank in, I'm pretty sure a 5 straight tractor might just clear it. But if they hard turn in and hard commit to Chertek, then I'm screwed.
See, it's funny because I considered just a 1 straight, and then I didn't do it because I thought, oh, if Sunfac comes in, he'll ensnare someone on a rock, bad, and that's why I didn't do it. And then I'm looking at it now, thinking, what an idiot! Who cares if Sunfac ensnares the generic X-wing or the Y-wing onto a rock? He's got 3 other shots that would be coming in at him.
And also, I don't think if in my fastest possible move here would have been a 3 hard, and then I boost forward. I don't think I'd have gotten range 1.
Oh, I don't know. Well, maybe. But
like 3 hard takes me to where the finger rock is, and then I boost, so I'm in between. So like, there's no way I can get into range 1. Anyway, so you do the banks here, and I'm like, crap, but I think I've got out of range because I have 3 sleep through the gas cloud, and I'm pretty sure I got out of range. Turns out we will not have got out of range. I tried to pass calculate, and no, range 3. So this is bad. Hit, crit. Wham, bam. Thank you, ma'am. Hit, crit into Chertek, and that's a stunned pilot, which is actually fine. There are many worse crits it could have been.
Yeah, don't actually think that one becomes particularly relevant, does it? But
yeah, no, because I know I can avoid the gas cloud.
But that was a lucky range 3 shot.
I had no focus. So...
I say the strain helps as well, kind of negated a little bit of it. But that was pretty much it there. So I did consider just 1 forwarding and trying to catch Chertek. But I thought you'd just shoot off. What's your... I can't remember what the... In fact, I'm pretty sure I actually check the... Might come up on the screen.
Yeah, you check the my blues are all the straight. So 2, 3, 4 straight and 1, 2, 3 bank.
I thought so. So, because of where Grievous is and Sunfac, I didn't think you had a whole lot of options for diving away. So I actually pivot now and hard turn into the rocks, which, okay, it's not ideal against tractor shenanigans. but there's only so many of them you can tractor. If I can still get some decent shots off, I mean, I fully expected DFS to go, not this turn, the next turn, to go straight, and I'll end up on that rock. But so I take a lock and command a poet for a focus, hoping that I thought you might have done a 2-bank with Grievous, and you might leave you range 1 for the APT.
Yeah, no, I was very much aware of. I don't want to be anywhere near that. So I move. Everyone moves in, and this is where I mean things are still. I guess things are still fine for me. Chertek is 3-banked in. I've tracted Jess. Great. Chertek's relatively safe. DFS is kind of safe. He passes the calculator over to Grievous because I'm pretty sure you're going to be focus firing into Grievous this turn. Because I thought you might have had a range 3 shot against Sunfac, but then if you took that, then fine. I've got 4 dice and a focus. I should be all right.
So I'm already considering next turn, and I know full well that I'm throwing that chaff cloud out.
Yep, and I was expecting it too.
And I actually do a slight mistake here with the Y-Wing when we get down to it. This may have been a mistake as well. Jess tracted range 1 turret from Chertek in. You rolled 3, I rolled a blank, and I decided not to use her charge to reroll because I wanted to keep it for attack on Grievous. And I'm beginning to think that may have been a mistake. That I should have.
Not so sure. I'm not so sure that shot was the one to defend against. I can't remember if you did. I think if you needed it on this shot, you should have used it. I can't remember if you did or not. I know you didn't need it. Okay.
No. So yeah, you've plinked 2 shields off Jess. I start going into Grievous. I take the shields away, and then it starts going a bit. Now, the mistake I made, and I've just skipped past it slightly, was the Y-Wing into Grievous. I think I rolled... It's only 2 dice, so I rolled hit blank.
And you didn't spend the lock.
And I didn't spend the lock. And
I've just realised what you'd say, because knowing full well that you're about to fire a chaff cloud at me, which will break the lock.
Exactly. I completely forgot that chaff cloud just breaks all locks as well, and it was like, I was thinking, I'll keep it for the next turn for a advanced proton.
APT, yeah.
But then it really compounds it because I launch it, it lands on Grievous straight away. And because I move first, it means I can't lock him, because you can't lock shit when it's on it. So, yeah, might have plinked an extra 1 through, but we'll never know. And I believe DFS plinked that last shield off Jess.
Yeah. So I knew the chaff cloud was coming, or at least I thought it was. I wasn't like 100% sure. I was like, maybe he saves it, but now's a pretty good time.
Yeah, no, because the way I look at it is Grievous isn't escaping. I know that DFS is going straight onto the rock. And my thoughts, I expect you to turn Chertek behind, rotate the turret, do tractor shenanigans. But if most of my ships are in a block, it makes it harder for you to tractor them or boost them. And then Sunfac, the way where he's pointed, he's either going through that gap behind Grievous and heading towards the Electro chaff cloud, or you're like one-harding him to the right, which takes his bullseye away. If you want to do your tractor stuff, you're rotating your turret away, so it's less of a threat.
Interesting enough, I actually wish I didn't do a straight. I wish I had done the 5 straight. Obviously, after knowing where your ships went is hilarious to say, but I was looking, I was like, if you launched a chaff cloud and everyone else just a 1 straight, I don't want Sunfac to just be there.
Yeah.
Irony is, I do kind of wish I had done the 5 straight, although I didn't. Yeah. I also should have done the red 3 hard from Grievous. Not doing that was greedy.
Yeah, that's fair. So I launched Cloud. It goes straight under Grievous, so I lose the lock.
Yeah.
You go onto the rock, which is expected.
We have a quick discussion over whether I could barrel roll onto that Cloud.
Decide you can't. And then I 1 bank, rotate. 1 banks, 1 straight.
Yeah. So I go through the Cloud with Grievous, get a jam, break my lock, and Sunfac does a 3-bank and bumps into Grievous, and this is why I said I should have done the 3 hard with Grievous,
Yeah.
and not doing so was greedy. Because, like, in my head, I was like, I'm sure he's launching the Cloud, but I think a 3-bank fits behind. I thought a 3-bank either was going to land on the Chaff Cloud, wouldn't matter anyway, or would at least fit behind Grievous wherever he ended up. But it doesn't, and Sunfac bumps into Grievous.
And so this bit here is
I think what I do here is the correct play, though.
Oh, I'd agree. But this round here is the only one where the Chaff Cloud really affects you.
Yeah.
Because you're basically past it now. But I think denying mods, as we'll see, will really help.
Denying Grievous's boost,
yeah,
I think is what.
However, so Poe's done a 1 straight, which he's about to do, and I'm pretty damn sure that you are range 1 with Chertek. So I have to boost, otherwise you're sticking him on a rock.
So what I do, by the way, with Sunfac is I barrel roll myself back through the glass cloud, rotate the turret looking towards Sean's swarm. Because I figure, okay, I also get a strain, which is unfortunate. But I figure, okay, this is fine. I get a strain, but obstructed, range 3. I likely got a decent amount of dice. I may live. And in my ensnare phase, I barrel roll Grievous away behind the rock. Unfortunately, he lands on the rock, and I think he takes a damage from this.
I have to admit, I was a little surprised by that, because I wasn't overly sure what you gained from it. Might take you out Jess's arc.
I was hoping to just dodge as many arcs as I could and just limit the shots coming into me, because if you shoot DFS or Jess, that's fine. But putting the Tractor Token onto Grievous means it's not on Sunfac, and I'd rather the Tractor Token be on Grievous than Sunfac in this situation. Even though, but I felt like I had to move Sunfac.
Yeah.
Because Grievous has Impervium Plating and has rerolls, so he might survive. But I didn't want to just give you 3 easy shots, so I figured if I could just get him behind the rock, maybe I dodge Red Squadron Experts. I know Poe likely had nothing, but like, and maybe I even make it obstructed against the Red Squadron Expert, because it wouldn't have been had I stayed where I was.
That's fair. So Sunfac shoots into the tractor Jess.
Which is, in a hilarious event, it's turned out to be a 3-on-3, which is just, I guess, the nature of Tractor and Sunfac's pilot ability.
Yeah, gets 1 crit through, which is Panic Pilot.
Yep. So now time to eat the pain.
Yeah, Poe shoots at Sunfac and rolls hit crit out of hand.
I have 2 evades, so I just take a crit, so weapons failure on Sunfac. Not the end of the world.
So this, I think, is Chertek into Jess.
Yes.
Who kills. Initiative kills Jess.
So this is you shooting Sunfac.
Yeah, this is me shooting Sunfac with the Red Squadron Expert. I believe it's range 3 obstructed.
Yes.
We're
bullseye.
Just checking for bullseyes. Yeah, 1 bullseye. So I got 1 reroll. It's 3 hits. And then
and I roll nothing.
Oh, like blank and 4 focuses, man.
Yep.
It's like, if they hadn't have changed the gas cloud rules, you would have been fine. If you'd rolled a single bit of paint, you would have been fine.
But it's not and Sunfac dies.
Yeah, it's that the Chaff Cloud causing the blockage that's denied the focus. It's effectively killed Sunfac there.
I can't remember who you shoot here. I think you must shoot Grievous.
I believe I do.
Yeah, you do.
Who takes a wounded pilot.
And then DFS just shoots the nearest easy target. I think I plink a shield off your new robot patrol. I think.
Yes, you take 1 shield off the Y rank.
I mean, maybe I should have shot one of the X-Wings there, but I was like, what's the shot that's going to get me the most damage? We'll shoot into the 1 agility guy. So if I high roll, it's going to be great.
So I know I'm going through the Chaff Cloud, likely with all of my ships, possibly not Poe. So I basically try. I know you're going to rotate, which you've done. So I do a 3 hard with the Y-wing, just to bring the turret around, but also to try if you've maybe done something slow or a bit different with Grievous to try and catch him out, and then leave the T-70 with a shot. I do bump, but not in the
So
right.
I went for a 1 hard, so I've up straight into the Y wing. Chertek is not sure where Poe's going to end up and hasn't really got any options, so he just takes a focus. He has his arc pointed at everyone, so he's all right. Poe shoots Grievous in the bum, and I Solus reroll and single evade, which saves me.
Chertek goes into Poe. Poe takes 2 shields.
Yep. We're moving. It doesn't look like much damage is being done.
No,
Poe takes another shield.
Yeah, Poe's taking the other shield. That's from DFS, and my Y-wing had shot into 311, but hadn't done anything.
Yeah.
So thankfully, the cloud goes now. So I basically, it's time to turn around, and I do a classic me mistake here, which is I forget that you've got the 3 sloop, despite the fact that you do it all the time.
But
with
before we get to that classic you mistake, we can also do another mistake from me, and this is like a literal mistake. Is I tried to get a little bit fancy with DFS 311. All DFS 311 need to do is rotate like he has done, and then double calculate, and everything is fine. But I was like, maybe Poe will go slow, trying to catch General Grievous, because I thought the 3 sleep was going to be an obvious one, so I thought Poe might do like a 1 or 2 straight to catch General Grievous as I think. So I wanted to try and barrel roll in front of Poe to block the one straight, and maybe just get a little bit further away from the nasty ships about to shoot me. But the barrel roll doesn't work.
No, I have to,
which means DFS has no calculates.
I have to admit, I did consider the 1 straight, or maybe a 2 straight, but I wanted to turn them around so that they could all come back, because now really my priority is Chertek, because he's the last one that can start shenanigansing me, and so if I can get all 3 ships turned around on him, I should get 2 decent shots at least. But I just didn't count the thing, and then I've just stuck Poe like nicely range 1 in front of.
Yeah, and I really like if literally if DFS is double calculated, then Grievous gets a calculate, and all of a sudden that's scary.
But Poe manages to put hit crit into 311 unmodded. It's a fuel leak, so pretty irrelevant.
Chertek does nothing. Probably should have spent the focus in hindsight, but if you'd just gone for him and I'd randomly blanked, it would have been really bad.
Grievous puts 2 through onto Poe, and a weapons failure, which is always nice.
And I think I dodged the first shot you put into DFS, you kill him in the last one.
Yeah,
and look at those results. Blank, focus, evade. If I'd had a calculate, I'd have lived.
Yep.
And DFS living another round could have been really key.
So I'm wondering what to do here, because the T-70, I don't want to go too near the rock, because I know Chertek's coming down, so I actually bump him into the Y-wing, and he basically stays where he is. And the Y-wing just
Interestingly enough, actually, if you look at where my turret is pointing, it'd be really hard for me to get it so I can track to that specific X-wing.
Well, because my first initial considering was a 1 bank to the right. But I thought if you 2 bank and rotate your turret to the front.
Yeah, true. But I'm looking. I'm not sure the 2 bank doesn't land beyond the rock, and because I have the stun pilot, I have to be doubly sure I do not land on a rock.
But I did get a bump on Grievous.
Yeah, I was really hoping to bump into Poe if I was brutally honest.
No, but you do. Poe does bump into Chertek, who tractors him. Rolls him onto the rock. I take a damage, so Poe's on 1.
Yep.
So at this point, I'm also range 1 of Grievous, who's gonna get, I think, rerolls, right? Because
rerolls.
So I've got 1 defense dice. I'm pretty confident Poe's dying now. I do decide to rotate. I thought just because the ships aren't perfectly square, there's a chance you can rotate off the rock.
Alas, not this time.
Alas, not this time.
Chertek just takes a pop shot into the X-wing, does nothing. Grievous rolls 4 dice into Poe. I believe it's 2 blanks, 2 focuses. I re-roll 2 dice. I get another blank and a focus.
Yeah, that was unlucky. That was
unlucky, but it is
well below average. But then Poe doesn't do a whole. I say that actually, Poe does allow another double mod, so does do a little bit more the rest of the game. I just plink some stuff at thing, and I think I've done 1 more damage to Chertek.
Yeah,
so he's on
Chertek's
1.
on 1.
So at this point, I'm quite happy because I've got a full T70, a Y-Wing that's taken 1 shield, so it's still got 8 hit points left, against Grievous on 4 and Chertek on 1.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think if I'd killed Poe with Grievous that round, this would be a lot more even. But as it is, I think the game's functionally over.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with you.
Because no matter what Poe does, he's likely to get a shot at some point. Yes, he's got a stress, so he's not getting shot this round, but he's also not really in danger.
Yeah, certainly this round. The Y-Wing does a 1-bank, clears the stress, takes a lock onto Grievous, and then uses Poe to double mod for a focus.
Yeah.
My hoping that you do a turnaround, I can stick an advanced Protorp on you. The X-Wing somehow doesn't bump, and then I decide to boost out the way.
Grievous does do the turnaround. And I spend a lot of time thinking about what I want to do with Chertek. I'm desperately looking for a way and an angle to tractor the Y-Wing, but it isn't going to happen. So what I do is I rotate my turret to point at Grievous, take a focus. And here I'm just thinking, there's no way Grievous survives an APT, so I actively, again, because I love this middle rock, is I just push Grievous onto the rock, getting him out of range 1 of the Y-Wing.
Yep. You roll a crit.
I roll a crit, and I Impervium Plating it away.
Gotta love Impervium Plating.
So I guess the question there is, was that worth it? Like, would it have been worth just blasting into the Y-Wing? Like, full on knowing I was likely to die?
Maybe. Maybe, because then you're doing, what, 4 dice into the Y-Wing?
It'd be 4 dice into 1, but I have no mods.
I don't know.
Actually, no. I think what I did was I think banking on Chertek surviving if you shoot me is good here, because you've got 1 shot. I've got 3 dice into focus,
and also it means that you're not taking the double modded Protorp. You know, if you can try and engineer it so if you have to take it, you take it when it's a single mod. Odds are better for you that way.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't have the Torp, but I.
So you end up going into Chertek because it's range 1 and Chertek's on 1 hull.
Yep.
You get 2 damage. I roll a single evade and Chertek's dead. And at this point, the game is over.
Yeah, pretty much. A Grievous against 3 ships, who bumps into Poe.
Yeah, I bump into Poe. I was like, this is the only way I can realistically go. Bump into Poe, take the shot at Poe, don't deal any damage. I eat the APT. It's honestly less damage than I thought I would, considering there was 4 crits and a hit.
Yeah. So I'm single modded, but yeah, I end up with 4 crits and a hit. I think you rolled 2 evades.
I rolled evade blank and I Solace Wand into another evade, and then
So you take 3 crits, but one of them's a shit crit.
One of them.
So you take 2 crits. So Grievous is on 2.
And one of them was a panic pilot, so I just call it.
Yeah, which is fair. You've got Poe sort of about range 2 and a bit in front of him, the Y-Wing right behind, and the T70 who can just do a 3 straight boost if needs be the next turn. There's not with no repositions or mods, there's not anywhere you can really go that you're not going to get shot by at least 2 of my ships.
Yeah.
And you're out of Impervium playing charges now, so
I can't just lol my way to victory.
Pretty much. But yeah, it was an interesting game. I think.
Yeah, I think my biggest mistake was that one turn I got a little bit too fancy with DFS, because all you need to do was just do the basic stuff, and that game probably goes quite a bit better for me because he can pass around the mods. He has mods on defense. If you shoot at him, he's like more likely to just live a little bit longer.
Yeah, if he'd lasted a couple more turns.
I think all I needed was him to last 1 more turn.
Because then you're chucking calculates to Grievous. All of a sudden, then Grievous has done the 1 damage he needs to kill Poe.
Yeah.
Then Poe can't double mod, and then suddenly it's 2 ships versus Grievous, and
then all of a sudden, if your advanced proton torpedo isn't double modded, I'm like, actually, maybe I can sit here with Grievous and we throw 8 dice at you.
Yeah. But yeah, it was a good game.
Yeah, I guess chaff clouds for the sort of victory. Although I think now I'm looking back at it, like knowing the chaff cloud was coming, I should have just 3-harded, because even going through the cloud, Grievous would have at least been a bit further away.
Yeah,
I guess what my problem was, I didn't think that Sunfac had any way to not hit the cloud, which in the end was his downfall, because I just assumed he was going to hit the cloud. I didn't plan to have an action.
yeah, that's fair. And I mean, for my part, I think I need to play it a few more times and maybe get used to it so it's not quite so obvious of when I'm going to drop it. Although I'd argue in that game that was the right time too.
Yeah, well, I
To
think
drop
you're
it.
not. It's not always going to be like, oh my god, here is a perfect opportunity to drop a gas cloud on likely Sunfac and Grievous. I mean,
Well,
yes,
yeah.
it only got Grievous this time.
But it's still the fact it got Grievous caused Sunfac to bump, which
Yes.
denied him the focus, which killed him. So, but yeah, pretty much wraps up that game. First game of 2022.
Yeah, not too bad. Memo to self: like, if with your support ship, just don't do fancy stuff. Sit on the rock in the middle and double calculate every single round. That's all he needs to do.
That's why he's a support ship. But yeah, on that note, we will wrap it up for you guys. Quick shout out for the Tin Tourney, our weekend event we've got coming up on the 21st and 22nd. I think
I have no idea, to be
I'll
honest.
double check that days. I'm pretty sure it's the 21st and 22nd of January, so not long for that, guys. Check it out on our Facebook page. And we will be back next week with another episode.
Noise.
So, on that note, I'll just say goodbye.
And ta-ta from me.